My name is Heather Rodriguez. I am a natural fertility specialist. My background is as an herbalist and nutritionist, and I am the founder of a company called Natural Fertility Company. We help couples who are preparing for conception using natural therapies. So you can find my information at naturalfertilityinfo.com. But what I do a couple times a week is I come on here and I do live classes on various topics and answer questions that you may have to connect with you and to make sure that you're getting all the information that you need. All right, so we'll go ahead and jump right in. So today, this is my water. I'm drinking water. Someone's asking, what is that? And you think that you do. Okay. All right, so we'll just jump right in. So here's some of my top tips. This isn't every single thing in the world that you're going to do for endometriosis, but I think this is a really good starting place, and these are some of the most important things that you can do. Nora is saying hers is gone after a cleanse and change in diet. Awesome. I'm probably going to ask you some questions about that because that is a lot of what we're going to talk about. Hi, Natalie. How's it going? Okay, so the first thing we're going to address is diet. So Nora was just talking about that she made dietary changes and she saw a huge shift in her endometriosis. And I just have to first say what we're doing is we're helping the body. So everything, all the different suggestions that I make is so that we're supporting the body so the body can help itself and help you get pregnant despite endometriosis. There's never a guarantee that it's going to go away, but what we have found is natural therapies help the body to manage it and to balance hormones and get over a lot of the issues you can experience with it. So we'll go ahead and jump right in with the first tip. The first is we're going to actually start with foods to avoid because this is one of the areas you're going to see the biggest difference. You're going to feel the results from the soonest is going to be dietary changes. So there's a couple different areas to experiment with and see how you react with them and see I said someone's sneaking here. See how you react with them because the thing with endometriosis is you'll know right away if something is helping or making it worse because unfortunately generally you feel a lot of pain when you are experiencing endometriosis. So the first thing, so one of the first foods to consider limiting or avoiding is going to be gluten. I personally don't jump on the gluten bandwagon for everything. I definitely think that it's something to experiment with. Some people have found when they cut out gluten or wheat from their diet that their pain gets a lot less from endometriosis. There was a study also that was showing that there was a group of women where they did a study, they took wheat out of their diet and 80% of them saw a big difference in the amount of pain they were experiencing. So it's something to consider. You're going to probably start seeing the results from that in about 2 months once you start experimenting with that. I do realize that's one of the hardest things to take out of your diet, but it's a tip and it's something for you to consider and do more research into. The next is going to be dairy products. Dairy products tend to be congesting, so don't do them more than twice a week. When you have something growing in your body that's foreign and that we want to reduce and to stop growing and proliferating, we want to reduce dairy and then some of these other things I'm going to talk about, but dairy is one of them. The reason is dairy, generally most people aren't eating organic dairy, so there's going to be hormones, there's going to be concentrated compounds within the dairy because of the fat that mimic estrogen in the body, and estrogen causes things to grow, causes more endometrial tissue to grow. It stimulates growth. So reducing dairy or not drinking it at all. There's so many great replacements. I personally love cashew milk. You can get that I get it at City Market, same as at King Super, Safeway, whatever you guys have. That's like the normal, general store. They now have all of these alternatives, almond milk, cashew milk, and they're really good. So you can just switch that out. But if you are doing dairy, no more than twice a week and see how your body responds to that. I definitely would not. Okay, so the next is red meat. So someone was saying that red meat is something to kick out because I know that she did it and she saw a huge difference. Does it have to be 100% gluten or dairy free for the full 2 months to be effective? I would think so, but I think what you would actually see is if you cut it out and then you had it, you would experience more of a flare-up is probably how the experience would be. But you'd have to experiment with it. I'd have to say yes. It would have to, because the thing with the gluten is it's going to actually hyperstimulate the immune system to cause a reaction within the body and prostaglandins to flare up and all of that. So you would have to cut it out completely to get that type of result. I'm not saying you have to do all of these things. You can pick and choose which one you can fit into your life and start there. You don't have to do all of these. So with red meat, there was a study in 2004 in human reproduction that published. There was 504 women who had endometriosis and another 504 women who did not. And what they found was that women who ate beef or red meat very often were 100% more likely to have endometriosis. So it's a correlation study, but what they found is that the women that had endometriosis, every single one of them were eating meat very frequently, up to 7 times a week, and the ones who had it less than twice a week did not have endometriosis. There's a lot of things, you know, I think that could be attributed to. Was it organic meat? I highly doubt it. But on the other hand, there is going to be a lot more growth hormones, a lot of different compounds that are going to be found in meat. So one of the fastest ways you can see if that's going to work for you is to cut red meat out of your diet. Same with pork. It's the same statistics for pork. They're actually even higher. And see how the pain goes. See how your flare-ups or whatever it feels like for you, see how that changes. Someone's asking, is it okay to eat gluten-free products or should all wheat be avoided? So for the wheat part, it's going to have to be all wheat. But there's rice pasta, there's quinoa pasta, there's a lot of really good breads out there. Something to experiment with and see. For some people, it may not make a big difference. For others, it might be the ticket. You did cut out red meat and the pain has reduced. So there's someone else who's recently done that and gotten results from it. In my case, I hardly ate red meat before, but cutting it helped with the pain. Great. So that's another person. So you might be asking, what am I going to eat instead? You can eat fish, chicken, lean meats. Eat beans. Eat beans. Beans are awesome. There's a lot of other things you can eat to get your protein and to make your meal healthy and a complete meal. And then the last part on things to avoid are going to be non-organic foods. And I know I talk about this a lot, but it really is a big issue. So organic foods are basically normal food. It's food without chemicals sprayed on it when it's growing. So the reason that's important is the chemicals that are sprayed on vegetables, on animal feed that the animals then eat, all of these have pesticides and have different chemicals that mimic hormones in the body. And hormones, these xenohormones are going to cause excess estrogen. Generally, they're actually mimicking estrogen. So they're going to cause additional growth of endometriosis. So cutting these things out, we don't want to do all these things for our health and still be consuming things that are going to stimulate the growth of the endometriosis. So eat as organic as possible. The most important places to start with organic, if you're on a budget, is going to be your animal products. Make sure those are organic, grass-fed, free range. The closest you can get to that type of level. Then vegetables are going to be important. So it's going to be animal products, so meat and dairy, and then vegetables. You can also wash your vegetables, and that does make a difference. Okay, so that's what to avoid. Now, foods to focus on. So this is in addition to what you're currently eating. You don't have to do a crazy dietary overhaul and start some dramatic diet. Just add these things. You're going to want to eat more fruits and vegetables. The same study that I was just talking about with the meat found that that women who were eating at least 13 vegetables per week, that's about vegetables twice a day, were 70% less likely to have endometriosis than those who ate less than that. So making sure to get your leafy greens every day, your salads, your juice, whatever form that is. Also, those were found who ate fresh fruit 14 times per week, which means twice per day, were 40% less likely to have endometriosis than those who ate less than that. Simple. So eat your vegetables and eat your fruit every single day. A very easy way to do this is to do the Fertility Diet Challenge, which is a smoothie, which is a salad, dark leafy green vegetable every day, and some water. So that's going to make a big difference. So it's taking away and adding. And then the last part when it comes to diet is adding that fiber. So the fiber is naturally going to be there if you're trying to get at least 2 servings of fruits and 2 servings of vegetables every day. I think that's the minimum. I think people should have a lot more, but if you're not there yet, then have that be your goal. The reason fiber is going to be so important is it's going to help the body get rid of excess estrogens. I've said it probably 10 times already during this class, but that we want to get rid of that excess bad estrogens from the body so that they're not hitting the receptor sites and causing and stimulating growth of more endometrial tissue, because that is what's causing the issues. That's what's wreaking havoc and making a lot of pain for you and discomfort. You're going to find lots of fiber in dark leafy vegetables, broccoli, Swiss chard, beans, whole grains, fruit, vegetables. They all have tons of fiber. Okay, so that's all my dietary tips. So we talked about reducing exposure to environmental toxins. One of the last things I wanted to talk about is, are any of you, are you familiar with systemic enzymes, and is anyone using them? Some people, yes, have heard of systemic enzymes and some have not. You're not using enzymes. Nora doesn't know about them yet. You're using Robenzyme. Okay, I'll just hit on it quick because I think half of you already know about this or are doing it. So you haven't. Not familiar. Okay, we'll jump to this topic. So systemic enzyme therapy. This is another thing that may be new to a lot of you guys, so that's cool. But it's a therapy that is using systemic enzymes that are naturally found within the body. And what they do is they help the body to break down different proteins. So you know how digestive enzymes different enzymes will help you digest your meal. There's a certain enzyme that digests fat, there's a certain enzyme that digests protein, and so on. There's enzymes in the body that have a lot of different functions besides digestive enzymes, besides enzymes within our digestive system. So what we're able to do is we're able to use systemic enzymes to help the body to break down scar tissue, and foreign proteins, different things like that. So what we found with using systemic enzymes is it can actually help to support the body when it is experiencing endometriosis. You used it for 4 months and your tube's open. That's awesome. Most of what I'm suggesting is info you got on researching for shrinking fibroids. Yes, and the reason is fibroids are stimulated by estrogen growth, and fibroids are not foreign, but they're extra protein that's growing in the body that we don't want there. So it's going to be very similar protocol. So with systemic enzymes, they reduce inflammation and they reduce pain, which is fantastic. They also help to digest the proteins and adhesions, fibrin, scar tissue within the body. They also increase circulation to the reproductive organs, and they help to mediate the immune response. So this is all going to be helpful for endometriosis. When someone's going through endometriosis, there is something happening in their body that is kind of like a foreign substance, so the immune system might be hyper-stimulated, and that's where some of the pain may be coming in. Systemic enzymes are fantastic to help with that. Are carbs okay to eat for endo diet? Yes, whole grain, healthy carbs, definitely. Using enzymes and, we say that, and serapeptase, you were saying something about that. I think you said it was working for you. You cut way down on wheat and switch to organic dairy, pain is reduced. Awesome. A lot of this would be helpful for PCOS, yes. Systemic enzymes, not so much, but a lot of the other tips, yes. I'm assuming you're asking where you get these systemic enzymes. It's working, but it's expensive. It's definitely expensive, and it's because the enzymes have to be coated in such a way that they survive the trip down through your digestive system. You encourage everyone with endo to make changes now. Endo took a toll on your ovaries. Yep. You can get the enzymes at naturalfertilityshop.com, but I can finish talking about them here in a second. If you're doing IVF, can you stay on it? I would not suggest it. Systemic enzymes are going to thin your blood because of how they increase circulation. So it's a good idea to not, when you're having procedures done, to not be using them. You can talk with your doctor about it and see what they say, but I wouldn't suggest it. You're pain-free since your surgery because of following the advice on our website. That's awesome. And that's something else to consider too when you are, because some people will need to get, surgery for their endometriosis to have it removed. You want to definitely take these same steps so it doesn't grow back. You don't want to do that surgery and then a couple years later have to get it done again. And also, right after your surgery, part of what's, you are so fresh at that time that you want to prepare ahead of time for getting pregnant, because right after you have your endometrial surgery is a great time to try to conceive. Does Clomid affect endo? I don't know. I'm not sure. So when you're using systemic enzymes, you can use them for long periods of time. You don't want to be using them if you are taking blood thinners, though. So that's something to consider. But you should begin to feel a difference within 3 to 6 months. So that's how you know if it's working for you, if it's part of the protocol that you should be on. There's a lot of other different supplements and herbs that we can use to help support endometriosis. One of them is going to be DIM. You guys hear a lot about DIM if you've been on my broadcasts. Someone's saying they believe Clomid does affect endo because it causes inflammation. But DIM, awesome, helping the body to get rid of excess estrogens, something to do research into, something to look at. But I think a bigger, more, not radical difference, but kind of a bigger bang for your buck is the dietary changes, as we've heard from everyone else here. You had surgery and following diet, but still not pregnant. It's been 3 years. Yeah, so maybe there's additional testing that you can get done. Maybe there's some other factors. DIM is how you spell DIM, D-I-M. Can Maca Vitex, how long can you take DIM? I wouldn't take it forever. You can take it for long periods of time. Someone's asking how long you can take DIM. But I always like to take a break every 6 months if I'm taking something long term, but you really shouldn't need to take it for that long. you're just helping the body to get rid of excess estrogens, and you should be making these other changes so you don't have as much of an estrogen issue. So it shouldn't be something you have to take for a year. You know, the issue should be cleared up by then. So DIM is fantastic. Progesterone cream is another one that you can look into to help to balance out the excess estrogen, but it's not my go-to. All these other tips were first my go-to. All of these supplements can be used throughout the menstrual cycle. So there's a couple herbs I'm going to talk about, and this is going to be specifically to help with stimulating estrogen metabolism and reducing inflammation and pain. This is like the herbal side of things. Is palmetto good for endo? Not specifically. Do I recommend Vitex for endo? Not specifically. It can be helpful, but that's going to be more for ovulation and helping with hormonal balance. Overall, if you have low progesterone, which a lot of people with endometriosis will because they have high estrogen, but it's not like my number one go-to. So there's a couple herbs. There's golden seal root. This is one that we like to use because it helps to cleanse the uterus. It helps to heal any infection within the reproductive system, and it helps to reduce pain. So it's a fantastic herb for endo. Jamaican dogwood is another one that we like to use. This is again for pain, uterine pain. We use this in our uterine calm formula as well as women's best friend. And then Weldiam, this is going to just be a general tonic for hormonal balance. Cramp bark is another one, again for pain, and then peony root. And this is going to help to increase progesterone levels, so it's going to help to balance out the excess estrogen. So when you have endometriosis, it's a sign of excess estrogen, so that means there's a possibility that progesterone is going to be out of balance with it. We need progesterone in healthy levels so that we can ovulate. So that's where it can affect some other parts of your fertility besides implantation, can also be if you're ovulating or not. So those are my tips for today. I ran through a lot of different things, dietary changes, different herbs and supplements to look into, as well as helping to reduce the stimulating growth of endometriosis. So I hope you found it helpful. All right, guys, well, you have a fantastic day. It was great to see you all, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.